Welcome to day 2 of Designed to be Different. In day 1, we sat down with our children and we asked the question, what has the Creator said about male and female? We reviewed verses from Genesis, Romans, and the book of Matthew, and of course, we colored. Now we leap into day 2 and we look at a tool that God has given us called science, specifically biological science. Now within science, we look at the scientific method. And on day 2, you'll sit down with your child and review the scientific method. Now, it's not just about reviewing the scientific method and then coloring a page, but rather this is about establishing an understanding between you and your child that the scientific method, or science, begins with making observations and asking questions. We want to make sure our children understand that it's okay to make observations of differences, specifically between males and females, and of course, to ask questions. Now, we don't want to just leave it there at saying, hey, the scientific method begins with making observations and asking questions, but rather we want to apply it. So within this book, Designed to be Different, we have added a day 2 continued, where we sit down with our children and we actually make observations, differences between males and females. So we ask our children, hey, have you seen any differences between males and females, boys and girls on the outside? What are the differences between mom and dad? What are the differences between brother and sister? What are the differences between male and female or boy and girl friends? Can you write any of those down? And of course, if you or your child don't want to write in this book or you don't want to color this, that's perfectly fine. You can simply discuss these particular observations here in day 2. Now, as we leave day 2 for day 3 and day 4 and day 5, what we will see is that we will begin to make observations that are not just external. So we're actually looking at 2 of the more uncommon ways of discussing the differences between males and females. And those ways, specifically with our children, are through the use of bones, as we see here. And we also have another page here. So bones. And one of my favorite is through the use of blood, specifically looking at chromosomes and DNA. Now, every page has been designed to make sure that even a 6-year-old should be able to understand. So don't worry about this being too high in understanding for a young child. If you sit down with your child and you work through it with them and you help them to understand, they will understand. My 6-year-old actually picked out a lot of these images. Some were drawn by me and then edited. And of course, some come from peer-reviewed published journal articles. So I hope that you will enjoy this book with your children. And I hope, my sincere hope is that this will point you back to God's infallible word. And it will point your children to an understanding that God truly did only create males and females within his created mankind. I hope that you'll pick this up on Amazon.com in paperback. If you can't do paperback, it is also available in Kindle. And if you need additional coloring pages because your family's too big or your classroom is too big, I will definitely email you a PDF full of the coloring pages so that you can utilize that with your family or your friends. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day, and thank you so much for taking the time to invest in the next generation.